Jason Ross.
His voice is synonymous with Bay Area sports.
Touchdown! San Francisco!
Here's the voice of the San Francisco 49ers, Greg Papa.
We love it each and every Friday, checking in with the great Greg Papa, the voice of the 49ers. Jason Ross and Jay Mars. Carmichael Dave is off today. He'll be back with us on Monday, but we love it. We got to check in with Greg right now. And, Greg, let's start with kind of the grand view of the team. I see a team that's given away a couple games, a team that's been injured, but here they are at 3-2, winning their last two games, and in first place, kind of an overview of almost a third of the way through the season where you think the 49ers are right now.
Well, Jason, I think just watching last night's Chicago-Washington.
You watched?
Game,
Sorry.
I did. I watch every football game that I can watch because I'm doing games on Sunday and there's 10 going simultaneously. So I'm not like the rest of America. So whenever I get one I can watch, I watch. I watched that one and I watched the one the week before with Denver and Indy. And my first reaction, and I say this because I know the team feels this way. Why are the 49ers not 5-0?
Yeah.
Damn. How'd they lose to Chicago?
Yeah.
How'd they lose to Denver? And I bring it up because, Philadelphia's 5-0, Dallas is 4-1, Minnesota's 4-1. And it's not like the old NFL or even baseball now with their playoff format where you get a double bye. It's a single bye. One team in each conference gets a bye. And that is a huge advantage. I think the biggest advantage in American sport to not play wild card weekend. And it used to be two teams. So it wasn't just one team that had that advantage. Now it's just one. So when we look back on it, they should be 5-0. It wasn't like they weren't the better team those days and nights. They didn't wind up with more points. And Denver was a single point. So it's frustrating. And the Chicago, the rain and everything. So it is what it is. But they're 3-2, which is acceptable. But I think we thought they should be more. But the bottom line is they're trending in the right direction. They're playing their best football. I looked at the early part of the year now in retrospect is kind of the 49ers training camp. I'm talking the regular season games. You were playing kind of like the old preseason used to be because they don't play anymore. And in the 49ers case, they didn't have their quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, we all know the situation, wasn't involved in the team until after camp broke. And it was literally, August the 29th that he got a playbook. So they're still growing. So the offense is coming along. I thought last week's game was a good performance, nice balance between the running game and Jeff Wilson Jr. and getting Tevin Coleman back and then Jimmy. And I think Jimmy was just extraordinary on third down. And we just fixate on everything Jimmy Garoppolo's not. Some of these guys have just uber talent. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, they're just sick talent. There's very few people walking the earth that have that kind of talent. So let's not dwell on what Jimmy doesn't have. Look at what he does have. And he is such an amazing third down quarterback. The numbers show it. And it's not just this year. It was that last year, 2019, when he first arrived. He is statistically, he and Patrick Mahomes, the two best third down converting quarterbacks in football. In the game last week in Carolina, Charlotte, there's with long third downs, and he just ripped the ball. The one to Kittle, the first third down the left side when he threw the back shoulder to George for 20 yards. The second one, and he ripped it over the middle between two defenders. How about the one where he got just annihilated? A free hitter came in and tagged him, and he hit Tevin Coleman out left to the sideline. So Jimmy's on point. Special teams has been really good most of the year. Last week, obviously, a major setback, and they had so much invested in special teams. So, and then the defense. It's the best. Dallas's defense is good. Philadelphia's defense is good. 49ers defense is special on every level. We're a little worried about Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, the middle. Nick's got a little something going on. He may not play in this game, but they got so much depth. Losing Emmanuel Mosley is terrible, just terrible for him personally and for the football team. How do they replace him? But overall, I think 3-2, okay, but they feel like they should be 5-0. And let's just hope, at the end of the year, we look at our record versus Dallas, Philadelphia, Minnesota, whomever, Rams, Green Bay, whoever else wants to get into this thing, we don't regret because you want to be the best. You want to be the number one seed in the conference and not have to play wild card weekend.
The voice of the 49ers, Greg Papa, joining us this morning. Greg, I want to focus on that defensive side of the ball. You mentioned the injury to Emmanuel Moseley, which really hurts the secondary. Obviously, having a great year. Nick Bosa gets banged up in that game as well. But looking ahead to Atlanta this weekend, how do you think a guy like Ambry Thomas can benefit from that? How does a guy like Drake Jackson possibly benefit with some opportunity opening up?
Well, I think Drake Jackson, without question, will have opportunity. Drake's a player, and he's going to have to play a few more snaps. And let's just assume Nick doesn't play. Then you have three high number one picks. Kinlaw, Armstead, and Nick was the number 2 overall pick in his draft, and just a game record not playing. So Ebukam will be on one side like he always is. I think Charles Omenihu may start on the other side, Hassan Ridgeway, and Kevin Givens inside. And then you get into your rotations, and Kerry Hyder Jr. is a part of that. Teray's a part of that. Drake Jackson certainly is a part of that. They've got a mix of guys that they can bring in. So Drake's a player. I mean, beginning of the year, I wasn't sure what role it would be. Would he be in the base? But Ebukam is playing the best football of his career. So it makes sense to have Sampson in the base. Then you bring in Drake, and then you can move him around. He's so versatile. Well, they all are. They cross-train all these guys to play just about everywhere. Nick pretty much is on the end, but occasionally Nick will go over a guard inside and stand up. But Hyder can play inside and outside. Armstead can play inside and outside. Kerry Hyder can play inside and outside. And many of you can play inside and outside. So I think they're going to move Drake around a little bit. But without question, Drake will have, I think, more snaps in this game if Nick does not play. As far as Ambry, I don't know. He'll be up for the game, but I think he's falling behind the pecking order. I haven't been with the team there at the Greenbrier. I just got to Atlanta on a red eye last night, so I'll see him this afternoon when they get into this evening, and then go to walkthrough tomorrow. But I would just guess that Diamador Lenore would be the corner on the outside opposite of Charvarius Ward. And then it's a debate on what they do inside the nickel, whether you want to play the young guy, Sam Womack III, or do you want to mix in Dante Johnson, the veteran, who they love. And then the key one's going to be Jason Verrett. They did open his window. They get a 3-week practice window to get him back out the ACL of last year. He's not quite there yet. So I don't know what role he'll have in this game, but in the next couple of weeks, I think, Jason Verrett's return would help this football team in a lot of ways because, we talked last week, Jason, you remember when we were talking to Dave, they didn't have a weakness. They don't have a weakness on defense. They really don't have an area where the opponents can attack. Now, minus Emmanuel Moseley, they're going to go at Diamador Lenore as a boundary corner, and he did a really good job covering Cooper Kupp on that Monday night win. But last week, the numbers weren't good. They threw it at him 11 times, completed 10. Shi Smith, their punt returner, kick returner, beat him on a slot fade for a ball down the left sideline. He got beat by DJ Moore on an over route. So they're going to go at him. And then they got another, fresh meat to go at. The NFL is, they pick on guys. It's like the NBA. Clear aside and let's go. You're not a go-to guy. You're a go-through guy. We're going to go at you. And Sam Womack III, he looked good in training camp, but in preseason, but the NFL don't care about that. So those will be the two guys that you got to hope to stand up now, minus Emmanuel Moseley, at least for this game, I would think, would be Diamador Lenore. But I think Dante could play in the slot, but if he does get some snaps, Sam Womack III, number 26 as well.
Greg, this is probably would be excess for the team, but everybody always tries to get better. Jeff Wilson Jr. has been so great. Elijah Mitchell will come back. After the Niners beat Carolina, they changed the coach. Matt Rule is out. There's talk about moving a guys like talent like Christian McCaffrey. Would that make any sense of what that might cost the 49ers to get a talent like Christian McCaffrey for this team?
I love Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I saw him obviously at Stanford, and I thought he was going to be the next Wes Welker, Brandon Stokely, Julian Edelman, a great slot receiver in the NFL. I remember having his dad Ed on my radio show. We were watching after his dominant final year at Stanford, and I was going on and on about his son as a route runner. And he said, "Greg, my son plays pretty good running back too, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's fine." But I mean, he's kind of like the opposite of Debo. Debo's a wide receiver who's a running back. Christian McCaffrey's a running back who's a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. I mean, he caught 109 passes in 2018, came back in 19 and caught 116. Wow. He's a running back, by far the most in the history of pro football, for those two back-to-back. All that being said, the last couple of years, he's not been healthy. I think he has his short area quickness back and his ability to make you miss in a phone booth. But I don't know if he has the breakaway speed he used to have, and he is injury prone. I love him. What does it matter what I think? Kyle Shanahan loves him. I didn't realize it was to that degree. I know his dad well, Ed McCaffrey, played for Mike Shanahan. He was a 49er, was a Giant, but he went to Mike in Denver with Rod Smith. I remember those two wide receivers so well. Ed was such a great blocker. Kyle would love him. But Kyle did grow up idolizing him. That's why he wore number 87 at the University of Texas. I didn't know that till Ian Eagle was telling that story in the blowout, fourth quarter Sunday in Charlotte. And, Kyle actually babysat the McCaffreys and babysat Christian when he was little.
Wow.
So the whole thing makes sense. But based on the injury factor, I don't think Christian's a zone runner. He's more of a power runner like they did at Stanford, pull guards. The 49ers do that. They ran G-Power on the goal line with Aaron Banks, the left guard, coming over, and they run a lot of power. I'm not saying they don't. But I to your point, Ty Davis-Price may play in this game. I think Elijah Mitchell's coming back at some point. I know he is. And then you got, Jeff Wilson Jr. is playing great, and Tevin Coleman is back, and he looks fresh. So the trade deadline's not till November the 1st. So you got this game, the Chief game, and the Ram game to evaluate. So your needs change, obviously, in the NFL. I mean, look at the team. They get 2, 3, 4 injuries a week like everybody does in the NFL. But right now, I don't see that as a major area of need. I see more D-tackle would be someone to look at in light of Armstead and Kinlaw's injuries. And I was looking at Grady Jarrett, who's Atlanta's best defensive player by far, number 97. He's not quite Aaron Donald, but he's pretty close to Aaron Donald. I was thinking about, could the 49ers trade for him? But talking to Atlanta people this week, they restructured his contract. They traded a lot of guys. Obviously, the quarterback, Matt Ryan. They traded the linebacker, Deion Jones, last week to Cleveland. It's a roster of big salary guys. I thought maybe they'd trade Grady Jarrett, but they restructured. They're not going to trade him. So I think that's more of an area of need. But, check in 2-3 weeks, running back get hurt in this league, and especially the way the 49ers use them, then they could be in play for McCaffrey, but I just don't see that.
Well, it's hopefully another productive week for the 49ers, Greg. We always appreciate hearing from you and your insight. Have a great call this weekend, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Thank you. I had fun. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. That's the great Greg Papa. It is the Niners and the Falcons. Again, we mentioned that potential of a trap game